and welcome to Girls on Deck. Once again, I'm joined by Hannah Russo, and we're going to talk about baseball and NFL on this show today. Now, the baseball season may be over, but that doesn't mean it's over for awards. The MVP and Cy Young awards have been released, and your AL MVP is Jose Abreu from the Chicago White Sox, and your NL MVP is Freddie Freeman from the Atlanta Braves. Now, Hannah, I want to know, do you think these are men that deserved it, or maybe you thought someone else deserved it over them?
I definitely agree with the National League MVP of Freddie Freeman. I saw that coming at the beginning. He carried the Braves offense this season, and he was definitely the life of them. Yes, Manny Machado and Mookie Betts were great runner-ups to him, but they didn't showcase themselves as well throughout their 60-game season as Freddie Freeman did.
No, I was going to say I couldn't agree more. I mean, being that Freddie Freeman is someone who's been after this title for a while now, a lot of Braves fans and just baseball fans in general have always felt that he's been, cut short of that title. And being that he started the season getting COVID the second day of summer camp and then not coming back till just a few days before the start of the regular season, that's not something that maybe you thought was going to be it for him. Even his first couple weeks, he said it was a rough start. He had to get into the swing of things, but then when he did, it clearly just set the tone for his probably best season. He had 13 home runs, 53 RBIs, and a 341 batting average. This has been the season that Freddie Freeman deserved to get the MVP for sure.
It has. And for the American League, I didn't see that one coming. I definitely thought it could be someone from another team like DJ LeMahieu from the Yankees. He had one of his best seasons yet, but he was only a runner-up to Jose. So it was something that I think he surprised us with because he did have some better averages than DJ and Jose Ramirez, who were both of his runner-ups. He had a great season, and I can't disagree with it.
No, I couldn't disagree with it as well. I mean, the White Sox are someone that, from the start of the season, it's something that we've just consistently talked about. This was their season to prove themselves. Jose Abreu has been on the White Sox since 2014. He got the Rookie of the Year award back in 2014 for them. So it's someone, he's always been an asset, clearly, to the team. And I think this year he's just really just outshined himself. He's the third Cuban-born MVP following Jose Canseco in 1988. And he's the fourth White Sox player to ever win the award. So it's really just breaking a lot of records for him, and it's really awesome. He was so emotional in his acceptance. His grandma passed away in their first game of the postseason, and he dedicated it to her. He said that she was the light of his life, and, it shows the character behind the player, and I think that just makes it all just amazing, that's what you like to see in a player. And, again, his stats back him up amazingly. He had 19 home runs, 60 RBIs, and a 317 batting average this season. So he did everything he had to do to secure his spot. Going into the other awards of this season, now the Cy Young, the coveted Cy Young Award, every pitcher's dream. Now, these are two California boys that won this, two former teammates that won this. Shane Bieber is the AL winner, and Trevor Bauer is the National League winner. Now, I want to start off by talking about Shane Bieber. What are your thoughts on him winning this award, Hannah?
He was never someone that I definitely focused on or that I wanted to watch. So seeing him win this, I was kind of like, oh, he really does have it in them to be the best and to be the pitcher that you want on your team. I think it was a clear choice for him between Kente Maeda, excuse my pronunciation, and Hyun-Jin Ryu from the Blue Jays. He definitely was someone who dominated compared to those two. I think he performed better than they did, especially considering that he struck out 41% of the batters that he faced.
Yeah, I think it was no question that it was going to Shane Bieber this season. He led the MLB just all around. He led the MLB with ERA with 1.63 and 122 strikeouts this season. His slider and curveball were phenomenal this season, and Indians manager Terry Francona said, talk about being on a roll. He has the ability to throw any pitch at any spot in any count. And I don't think I've ever seen another pitcher with a curveball and slider that are almost the identical speed with different breaks. His Shane Bieber's game is just phenomenal, and he's continued to improve every season. You know, he sees his weaknesses. His slider was supposed to be his pitch this season. Well, now he brought in his curveball. And I mean, he's continuing to improve his game, and he's proving to be just a phenomenal pitcher, truly one of the best in the league right now. And I mean, this season alone, I was reading articles about him, and I was like, oh yeah, he led the MLB in this, led the MLB in this, led the MLB in this.
I kept seeing
a continuous list of everything that he's accomplished, and I just think, you know, both players were deserving of the Cy Young Award, but I mean, Shane Bieber to me was no question.
I agree. He came out last year and won the 2019 All-Star Game MVP award. So seeing him go from that and making his name and really establishing himself there to winning the coveted Cy Young Award was awesome to see, and it was definitely something that he deserved.
Yeah, I, again, could not agree more. And now let's take it over to the National League, where Trevor Bauer, 29-year-old California boy, has become the first ever Reds player to win this award. He led the NL in ERA, the National League in ERA with 1.73. He's second ranked in strikeouts and strikeouts per 9 innings. He himself has proven to be another star pitcher this season. I mean, I think I saw something that he texted Shane Bieber, because they stayed in touch since they've been former teammates, that he texted him at the beginning of the season, like, wouldn't it be crazy if we both won the Cy Young Award? And here they are. Now they've both won it. So, again, another deserving player. And I think, you know, he hasn't had the team to back him up. So I feel like, you know, he's not always on the front page in that sense, because, yeah, the Reds are the Reds. You know, they're not anything crazy. But I think, you know, he's going to be the top pitcher in the free agency this season. I think he's going to definitely, after this award specifically, he's going to be teams are going to be taking out their wallets to get Trevor Bauer, because he's going to be, oh my gosh, just an asset to have on any team.
He is, and I would also say that things were tighter in the National League trying to decide who was most deserving for the Cy Young Award, because Jacob deGrom from the Mets has previously won this award twice. He's a reigning 2-time National League Cy Young Award winner. So for Trevor Bauer to go up there and claim it for himself alongside his former teammate in the American League was very impressive. He also stood out in the National League with a leading ERA of 1.73 and a whip of 0.8. So I wasn't surprised that this was his award and that he took it home.
Yeah, I wasn't, none of these, the Cy Young Awards, none of them were like, oh my gosh, no, it's like these players have been consistent all season. Trevor Bauer's been something, a pitcher that people have been talking about all season, just how amazing he's doing. Shane Bieber, again, with like just breaking records throughout the seasons. Both players are phenomenal. And I think, you know, I think this makes it more interesting for Trevor Bauer. He's going into a new team now with a Cy Young Award on his back. The first ever Reds player to do it. So it's going to be exciting. You know, I hope a good team picks him up. I hope he can, you know, actually have some productivity next season, you know, maybe make it to the playoffs or what have you. But I really think both players were deserving for the Cy Young Awards and the MVP. I mean, there was a lot of talent in the MLB this season. It was really just an awesome season to watch baseball, you know. And going back to what we've said before, like, it's awesome that in such hard times that baseball's been a light, football's been a light, all these sports have been a light and been able to be an escape for people. So again, I think both the Cy Young and MVP awards were much deserved. I have no complaints for who won. Yes, Manny Machado, Mookie Betts, National League, you know, you can argue a lot, but at the end of the day, the players that won are the players that deserved it.
Exactly.
Well, when we come back, we're going to switch gears and go into a little bit of football. Stay tuned.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying today's episode on Hitting the Field Network. On my show, Take Me Out to the Podcast, we're bringing you the latest in MLB news and some incredible interviews with some incredible people, including Bobby from Outta Here Baseball, Bailey from Foolish Baseball, Dawson Wright, Alec Palmer from Momentum, and so many more. Be sure to tune in to Take Me Out to the Podcast every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, only on HTFN.
I'm back with Hannah Russo to talk some football, specifically right now, the NFC East. Arguably the worst division in football right now. No team has more than 3 wins. But game changer, the Giants beat the Eagles this past Sunday. Now, the Eagles are in the lead still for the NFC East, but that's something that the Giants are really itching to take over. So, Hannah, what do you think about all this?
I don't watch the NFC East, if I'm being honest, because have never been impressed with their team, so I don't keep up with them. So looking at this, I was a little bit in awe. It was a very low scoring game, and it this was the Giants. They're not a team you think of when you think of the NFL, especially because they're not a native New York team, having their home stadium being in New Jersey. But they came out and they took their 8-game losing streak dating back to the 2016 season with the Eagles, and that's now gone. They finally beat them.
Yeah, no, if you're a Giants fan, you're cheering as much as you can right now. The Giants won 27-17 in that game, and it was honestly just a lot of dumb mistakes on the Eagles' parts. They got 11 penalties in that game. A lot of them should have been avoided. They gave up 151 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns to the Giants. It's a game that the Eagles should have won, and they just had too many mistakes that inevitably let the Giants take over. And that's not the game you wanted to mess up if you want to take over the NFC East. So now it's, the Giants just need to establish a consistent offense from here on out, keep winning games, and they could take over, honestly.
They could. Daniel Jones, the Giants quarterback, I would say this was one of his best games this season, considering that he didn't pass any interceptions at all this game, and that was the second consecutive game that he's done that. He was able to find his receivers and make connections more than he has this season in this game. So I want to see more from him, especially since he's a second-year quarterback. He's starting to become a veteran, and he's starting to learn the ins and outs of not only his franchise, but of the game. So he needs to continue to improve and continue to play like he did.
Yes, I totally agree. And, the NFC East, again, needs help all the way around. You got the Eagles, the Giants, the Washington football team, and the Cowboys. So you're really not looking at any team that's going to wow you this season. But it'll be a little exciting, if the Giants maybe take over, give them some sort of edge to that division, allow for something good to happen. So, yeah, again, the Giants are just a team that, they're still not, whoever wins the NFC East, you're not going to be in the top of the NFL at all. I don't know. You're not going to really make it far in the playoffs, if I'm being very honest. But it'll be nice, just to have a little more excitement to the league, and maybe something good will happen.
Hopefully they'll all pick up the pace and realize that they need to start winning, especially, I believe it was not last week, but the week before, we talked about purposely losing to get their first draft pick. Mm-hmm. And right now, to me, that's what it's looking to be.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not intentionally doing that, it's kind of embarrassing. They just need to say they are, because these teams, they're just, it's not happening for these teams. But again, hopefully the Giants can maybe knock them out of that spot, or maybe the Eagles will just pick back up where they left off. So now I want to go into another team in the NFC East, the Washington football team. Now, they recently changed their name from the Redskins to the Washington football team this past season due to the long controversy of the name of the team. Now, team owner Dan Snyder said in September that the Washington football team name could stick. But he also said back in 2013 that he'd never changed the Redskins name. Now, do you think that's something that, does it matter that much? Should the Washington football team name just stick, or is it boring? Should the Washington football team actually think of something?
I think they should think of something. Saying the Washington football team is a little bit of a mouthful. Mm-hmm. And I think they should go back to the Redskins. I understand that that's very controversial, but they've had that name for 87 years, and it hasn't been a problem until recently.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people are having, that controversy. I don't think go back, why to me, I think it's too much of a fight to go back, and, it's culturally, not the best name to go by. So I think there's other names though, but even people over that I was reading articles, and they were like, oh, these are some names that fans have come up with. And it's like, they can't get rid of that controversial vibe. Everything had to do with something. And I'm like, clearly the controversial thing did not work. You used Redskins for way too long. So let's get away from that. Go to something just like, I don't know, pick an animal or something at this point. You know, you don't want to change the colors, and I totally get that. So pick of something that you can keep those colors. I mean, not all football teams' colors match anyways. Falcons are red and black, like, you know. But I think it is time for a name. You know, young fans watching a football team, they're not going to be like, yeah, I'm rooting for the Washington football team today. Like, that's not exciting. It doesn't bring excitement. So I think there's plenty of people in that front office where they can think of some sort of name. And I know, you know, a lot of their issues were that because next season they're thinking it could stick and, you know, for the foreseeable future. And that's due to the fact that the amount of hoops they'd have to jump through, you know, to actually pick a name, the amount of legalities they'd have to work through. And I totally understand that, but it's not like it's worth the trouble. Washington, it's boring in my opinion. I think it's time. Pick a name, you know what I mean? Like, you did your nice thing, took the Redskins out, being at Washington football team this season. Very respectable. Appreciate that, you know. But I think it's time we start thinking of something, you know, maybe open it up to fans, do focus groups, get people in, think of what they say. Like,
I'm going to say that I completely agree with you. I do think that they need to pick a name soon, and that it should also be something that has history to them, because like a lot of other NFL teams have names that have history to them. Redskins had a history, considering that the East Coast was big with Native American life and Native American culture, so they did it to symbolize that that's where they're from. But in this day and age, it can be offensive, and I can understand that it is controversial, but we do need to find a name that has history behind it to keep in line with the history that all of the other names have behind them that have been enforcing them for however many years that franchise has been established for.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, I think they need to break out their history books. What's happened in Washington since since we've come here to America, basically. You know, just honestly, and you could, if you really want to relate it to, you know, the Indian tribes there, maybe do it respectfully, get approval from them. You know, don't just do something without, you know, respecting the culture. So I think whatever they do, again, respecting the culture is going to be huge, because that didn't happen before. And, you know, just maybe really think about it and really come up with something. Because I think for next season, like, NFL fans all around are going to be excited to see what they can come up with, because they're the only nameless team. No one, again, it's just not exciting enough.
No, I agree. They have some names that they're looking at, and if they do want to keep history and they want to keep their colors and their logos the same, they could use Warriors, which is one of the top names on their suggested list. And it is very similar to the Redskins, but it says Redskins in a more respectable way that I don't think anyone could pick apart and make a big controversy out of it.
No, Warriors is nice. It's a overall nice title. And, you know, hopefully they can come back next season as Warriors, because this season, it's not it for them. The Washington football team, nameless or not, they are not proving themselves to be anything this season pretty much. So maybe if they pick a name, it'll be their good luck charm going into next season. When we come back, we're going to discuss the sad injury to Drew Brees.
I have a very special guest, Mr. Mike Golick Jr. Let me tell you, this is one of the nicest guys I have met so far in this industry. So thank you so much for coming and talking to me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, listen, smart move. I am not immune to flattery, so buttering me up on the way in is the absolute right way to do this. You're learning already.
That was the goal. I had it in my notes.
And we're back with our final thoughts for today, talking about Drew Brees and what happened to him this past week. He has multiple rib fractures on both sides of his chest and a collapsed lung on the right side. Now, no one expected this. He had left Sunday's game against the 49ers due to difficulty breathing. Jameis Winston came in. They ended up winning the game, thankfully, still. But it comes out on Monday that he has a fractured ribs and a collapsed lung. And everyone's like, where did that come from? And the fractured ribs weren't even from this past Sunday's game. They believe it was from Tampa Bay's game, but it was so inflamed that the x-rays couldn't see it. So what do you think, first of all, sending my best wishes to Drew Brees to get better. He's a star quarterback that really just wants to win a Super Bowl. That's why he's back. But what do you think of all this?
It's a big mess, honestly. I feel awful for him. This was going to be his season. I think he was doing a great job, and he had a decent shot of making the playoffs. So for this to happen to him nearing the end of the season is absolutely awful. I mean, he's making light of the situation because he recently posted a picture of him. It was some sort of inhaler. I don't know the medical name for it, but it was kind of like a box, and he was using it to help him breathe. And his little kids were there with their play doctor stuff, like checking up on him, making sure his heart was sounding good. And he said that he has the best team on staff because he has his kids.
Yeah, no, I love Drew Brees as a guy. I mean, he's just honestly such a class act, and I don't think the Saints are going to lose him this season. He'll be there in their ears, telling them everything he needs to tell them. But now Jameis Winston will go in. I saw a funny video, ESPN I believe posted it, and it was a guy getting out of a coffin and dancing, and it was like Jameis Winston's career now that Drew Brees is injured, because Drew Brees is entering the end of his career. He's getting older, but it's not something you thought would happen quite yet. Now he'll only be out for 2 to 3 weeks. Hopefully, hopefully everything goes well. He heals perfectly fine. But this could show, the Saints fans the future of their franchise. As I said, Drew Brees is entering the end of his career. So hopefully Jameis Winston could come in and, keep consistent, keep them winning. It is going to change a little bit, though. His play style is a little different than Drew Brees' play style. He likes to throw down the field passes, whereas Drew Brees was a little different. So who knows? You know what I mean? Taysom Hill is going to have a bigger role now that Drew Brees is gone. So I think it'll be something that the Saints can work around. Back in 2019, Drew Brees was out with a broken thumb, and the Saints picked it up just fine without him. So I think, it's not something that to be super discouraged for, but as a Saints fan, Drew Brees is the Saints. So it's like, when Tom Brady's on the Patriots, if it happened on Tom Brady, that would have been catastrophic. So it's something that people are really sad about. If you're a football fan, you're really sad about it. He's Drew Brees. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks,
He's
So it's really sad to see. Yeah. It's really sad to see. Hopefully, again, he works through it. He doesn't push himself to get back in it too soon because, you don't want to mess with the collapsed lung by any means. But hopefully he can get back soon.
No, I agree. And throwing Jameis Winston in there is definitely going to throw their offensive line a curveball, but it's not going to be as much of a curveball as throwing in Taysom Hill, because he has a skill set where he could be a runner or a passer. He could play quarterback, but he could also play 4 other positions. So I think Jameis Winston is going to be their best shot at replacing Drew Brees. And honestly, I'm not Winston's biggest fan, considering that he doesn't have the best history coming from the Bucs. But if he can get out there and he can save the Saints and he can fill Drew Brees' shoes in a sense, then I think they're going to give him a shot and they're going to let him do what he needs to do.
Absolutely. I think, now's his time to prove himself. Again, he didn't have the best track record on the Bucs. That's why they never really traded him. So I think this is his time to prove himself, prove that he is a quarterback. He was drafted for a reason, Again, I agree that, Jameis Winston should be in the quarterback position. Taysom Hill could be used in so many other positions. And I think, their dynamic together and just it's going to be, meshing the team together now, because they've been so reliant on Drew Brees for however many years. So now it's quick. It's a quick turnaround. Got to find someone else. Got to mesh with someone else. So I think they're more than capable of it. I think it's going to be interesting to watch. Hopefully, again, that Drew Brees is able to come back and at least finish the season with them. Again, that's something the biggest thing about Drew Brees coming back year after year, and, he's older, is he wants the Super Bowl title. He's been dying for one. He wants it so bad. You can't blame the guy. You want to win. So, again, hopefully he comes back. Hopefully he heals up. I send my best wishes. And, yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Hannah, talking about a little MLB and NFL today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.